Hey guys, and welcome to another Universim stream. Today I'm going to be going through a new game, and I'm just going to be doing some tips and tricks to just get you through the first 100 years. I'm going to start neutral because, especially if you just started the game, first run through, you don't have much of this unlocked until you get through some of the accomplishments. So I'm going to turn up natural disasters, wild animal attacks, and exile aggression, just so I can give you more examples of how to deal with the disasters as they strike. I'm going to do a random seed as well, but you can get seeds off of the Universim Discord and I guess other sources, and you can actually get planets that you know what to expect. But today we're going to roll the dice, and we'll get started here. So this run through is more for people that are really just getting into the game. Really cool to see a lot of people starting to pay attention to this game, and a lot of people really get it too. You know, there's a lot of really good players out there. I've just happened to notice that a few people are having problems with population, or once they get into the medieval age, everything starts going to hell on them. So I'd rather not backseat in your streams. I'd rather just, if you check it out and enjoy this, I can try and teach you what I know. And I don't want to tell you what to do throughout the game because, you know, everybody can play this differently. I just like to give you the best possible head start I can. If there's any information, I guess, that you can consider a spoiler in this that you don't want to know, then I can't really help you there, because I'm basically going to just say everything I know. What I'm hoping is, if I can get through the first 100 years as just an example of how my strategy works, at least.
Wake up.
And if I can get a couple more really good players on board, it'll be really good for the community, I think. You know, I see a lot of people that really enjoy the game, but they get to a point where it just gets boring. There's nothing to do. They don't really have a strategy for the next step. But I'd really like to help people not be bored with the late game stuff. So right off the bat, I'm gonna look for a place with some water, some stone, some trees, the whole 9 yards. And I generally don't try and build on the biggest lake first, because I don't really need a lot of water capacity in the beginning ages. So hopefully this lake is wide enough that that doesn't register as an area to build in, because it can. And sometimes it's better to put your epicenter in the center over here, but I like doing it around here because there's not as many nuggets and as much traffic later in the game, so when you want to open the space boxes that you find, you're not really blowing up anybody. The first strategy I have with research is I try and get to agriculture as soon as possible, and that way we can start growing food. We don't have to rely on hunting it yet, and then everything else comes after that. So in the research tree, the first few take almost no time at all, so it's relatively easy to get agriculture rocking pretty fast. Another part of it is just to keep in mind how much each of the god powers costs. So they need 5 stone and 5 wood, and we have enough for it. Try and pick a big tree, help them out there. Try and pick a big rock as well, help them out there. So if you help them prioritize things as well, it gives them more guidance and makes it a lot easier for them to focus on certain tasks. So another big thing about starting this as well is you don't want to build a ton of stuff right off the bat, because you just don't have any laborers to do it. So give them time, let them build their residence, and then we gotta get a couple nuggets out of them to actually start the flow of the civilization. And then as soon as they have a few kids, then we can actually start building all the different essentials that we need for the start. This fast forward button is a blessing and a curse. You you know, you can speed up time a lot, but if you forget that it's running, sometimes the world can get away from you. Well, that'll be done that in no time. So you're on it. Get a couple more points by actually accepting the quest instead of just doing it. And then a double click, and you got them falling in love. So give them a couple minutes to do their thing. And as they're doing that, we're already down those 2 next slots, so we can go right into agriculture. And hopefully by mid this winter, we can start planting our first farms. And that way, next spring, we're pretty golden for food. Now they're done, but they're not done yet, because I'm gonna get another kid out of them first, just to help the population. My ever original names. That's another bad part about the fast forward too. They're harder to catch. There you go, super original. Okay, they have another one coming out now. So that will give me enough time to start actually building some stuff and a couple laborers to grow up with. That way Adahi and Elo, the 2 first nuggets, aren't really overwhelmed with all the stuff that they have to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is press B, 2, and 1. And that'll build me a water wheel here. They implemented the quick select a few updates ago and didn't really advertise it a lot, but I find that to be 100 times more useful than having to go into the menu and then finding what you want to do and then clicking on it. You just press, once you kind of memorize the basic ones, you know, B21 is pumps, B22 is reservoirs, B11 is engineers once we unlock that. It makes the whole game a little bit more streamlined. So as we have 29 points now, and still only 2 nuggets available, I'm going to help them with telekinesis a little bit more, speed this process up. Again, I don't have many points, but the more god actions I'm doing, the faster my points will accrue. 3 more wood there. And we're going to try a few rocks here. See where that got us, 10 out of 21. Okay, I'm out of CP right now, so I can't keep feeding them into it. But I'll let them finish that off, because it shouldn't take too much longer now. And we'll go for the fast forward for a little bit. After we get all these rocks placed and they actually start building this, then I'm going to place a reservoir, and then I'm going to keep jumping back and forth on those because water is basically the first thing we need, and you don't really want to keep chasing it right off the bat. So just get your water sorted out almost immediately, and then you can get into food, and then the rest of the game. And now we got 6 adults as well, so instead of helping them with telekinesis, I'm going to get another generation going. I just need to get the points for it. And the whole name of this game right off the bat is you want population and you want food balanced out as fast as you can. If you're lucky enough and you can build this fast enough, you don't even need to get a single nugget drinking from the lake right off the beginning of the game. And I see a lot of people having to spend a lot of their creator points on just curing nuggets that are drinking out of the lake. And it's a lot easier just to, again, sort out their water right off the bat. Okay, so they've done that. I'm gonna go B2, 2, and I got a reservoir. I'm going to place reservoirs pretty much everywhere on this map in even spacing. But because I have 20 CP right now, I'm going to give a couple of these nuggets a quick break. Actually, I'm going to give the original ones a quick break because the other ones need to actually build a house before they can go into it. We go and find Adahi. And Cupidon and double click, and he's going to go at it again, have his 4th kid. Now they're pretty productive right now. I don't really have to help them too much. But I do want to get this going quickly so they can have their first drink without going to the lake. They're looking pretty thirsty. Yep, damn. Okay, well. Apparently, Elu's got a pretty good stomach. Didn't get sick off of that. Okay, great. That first reservoir is being built. I'm gonna go B2-1 again. Get another pump going down. Prioritize that. And it's a pretty basic system right off the bat, is you just kind of do a repeat where, you know, place a pump, get up to 20, do another mate fest. Another thing that'll help you right off the bat is by taking a whale and dropping it right near the beginning of your place, because that'll give you 60 food extra, and that'll get you through the winter for sure. The DP down here, get to a little bit later on, but they do start you off with a handful of points, and I would recommend you go for grass weaving right off the bat before anything, because it allows your carry capacity to go up, which is obviously super useful for the first little bit of this game. And if you really want resources and everything fired into buildings fast, good way to go. Okay, good, they're done that. Should be coming along pretty good on this one. And I'm going to leapfrog back and forth between water pumps and water reservoirs for the beginning of this. We're going to kind of watch how you figure they're going to spread, and odds are, with this amount of land, they'll probably end up going this way, and then we don't know if they're going to build up here or down here. So I'll probably force Holy Land on them, which is a creator power that allows you to select an area where you want their residences to be built. So if you want them to start veering off down here, you build a Holy Land over this way. And when they need houses based on population, that's where they'll put them. Not gonna work this time. Okay, so it's getting colder out. Winter is coming. And yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Could have to reset the game in order to actually get Twitch integration working again. Press H to go home if you ever get lost. You can also click this button up here. For all of these different icons, there are short keys to them. And by pressing X, you can bring up all the short keys. So R for Town Hall, or R for Research, B for Build, C for Creator Powers. And the short keys are super useful because, yeah, going over to this menu and clicking around all this stuff for hours on end, just, it's a whole lot of clicks you don't actually really necessarily have to make. Let it be 2-2, get another reservoir down. 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 2-2, Now, you don't want to pack your reservoirs too close together because you want it to actually be spread out as much as possible. That way, a thirsty nugget over here doesn't have to go all the way over here to get a drink. Actually, with the points we have, might as well get another couple going here. And then help them out a bit more wood. Alright, so they're doing pretty good on that. There you go, there's a bit more for you. So they're on a good track for building that, so I'm going to build one more pump. Prioritize that, wait for them to get it done. And then we're also waiting on the farm. Doesn't look like I'm going to get it done before winter's over, but we'll be close. Then after the farm, then we actually invest in eateries and hospitals. Material refinement will come a little bit later, but it's better to get a couple things established before you start throwing planks down. Okay, good. At the beginning, it's really easy to have a bunch of believers because they're effectively all just this one very close-knit family. But as time goes on, you'll have a few non-believers that, make non-believer families. And the growth seems to be pretty exponential in both ways. But even when you get to modern age, if you can maintain around half your believers, even better. But it's really almost impossible to keep believers at 100%. Suppose reflecting on real life just a little bit. So this first winter isn't really critical for water because we don't have any buildings that need it. It's more just for them drinking. But eventually I'm going to throw one more reservoir down. Then I'm going to focus on the engineer huts. Now the engineer huts are really useful, and it's a pretty good idea to basically have them overlapping each other. So you don't want to have them spread too thin, especially as your city grows. So it's not a huge deal if you have them in closer spots than what the circle predicts, basically. I wouldn't put them side by side per se, but I would put them, overlapping on all the circles there. And I try and start my roads relatively clean early on. If I don't like an offshoot on the road, I don't have to have that as a road in the future. So for this one in particular, I'll put an engineer's hut right on this piece of the road, and they'll still continue on over this way. But that road will never be built. You'll always see the blueprint of it, but you'll never see them actually utilize it as a road. What do we got? 3 minutes till a farm, and I don't know, probably 5 minutes before winter. So hopefully they're gonna knock these guys out pretty fast. A couple more kids won't hurt. And we gotta look for a lost nugget. So wolves took the nugget. And we gotta go find those wolves. If you're having trouble with that, just listen for the howls. Then H to go home. Okay, there we go. I'm going to try to complete all the quests in this as well, just to show you how to deal with each one. I may miss a couple, but some of them are pretty confusing, and seen a lot of people just struggle on them and fail them, and nothing's worse than failing one, and then you get to the end of the game, and it's like, damn, if I had passed that one, you know, would have been able to unlock all the rest of the gameplay modes. So hopefully I can help with a little bit of a guide on some of the quests and their funkiness. Okay, so now we've got agriculture just at the beginning of spring, which isn't too bad. So farms are B3, 4. And I've found that generally the forest biomes are a better biome for high yielding fruit. Not all the time though, because every gameplay is quite a bit different. I'm just gonna, I feel like I can sneak in here somewhere. The game is freaking finicky sometimes about where it actually wants you to put it. I know that on inclines and hills it's a no-go, but sometimes you can luck out just by holding down the rotate button, Q and E, and sometimes you'll find one. Now it's not pretty, but it works. So a good couple things about building in the forest as well is your nuggets are automatically going to collect all those trees. And because they don't have storage, they're just going to leave them on the ground. But it's a really good way for them to just cut down a whole whack of surplus and not have to worry about taking out a lot of the other parts of the forest. Because if you notice down here, just in this update alone, they've completely changed this around, where it used to be you could place a lot of parks and you would compensate for the amount of trees you've cut down. But now parks only affect the percentage of pollution a year, and it'll take it down by like 0.5 or 1%. But that doesn't do it for the trees. You need to keep your tree level up and your water in your lakes pretty high. And if you get below this, then yeah, as it says, no oxygen. Your nuggets die at this level. Or you start getting like pretty gnarly disasters that we haven't gotten to yet, but maybe at the end of this tutorial, I'll just screw up the whole planet just to see how that looks too. So I'm going to let them work away on this. A good way to help them on this as well is just pick up the trees and put them right back into the area that needs it. But they are pretty efficient on this run through, so they just need some rocks. And helping them is just super useful because it speeds up everything. We'll wait till these are done, and then we'll throw down a storage, which is B33. Now there's a lot of different doctrines of thought on storage. You know, do you put a whole lot of them in one area, or do you spread them out, or do you need many at all? And try and put at least a few right at the start. And basically, I build as we need them in the store. Once the first storage containers or the warehouse is going to be built, it'll show you down here how many storage slots are available. So right now we're stuck with one grassland fruit, which isn't a very high yield on this run through at 14. We're looking at for something that yields at 22 to 24. Alright, we're going to accept this quest. And we just need to find one single different kind of fruit that isn't already in the farm. And we'll start with juicy acorn. And because it's a forest fruit, you want to get that planted as well. It's a low yielding fruit as well though. So we want to try and go find something else. Healthy Melina or Panda Brain Plum Fruit would be the two that I'm hoping on. What do we got? Yeah, Healthy Melina over here. We'll see what that yields. 20, which isn't bad, but I think we can do better. There is a big potential now for the grassland to actually be yielding more than the forest on this one, but we're going to have to find out. Panda's at 20 as well. Okay. Let's go look for some of the grassland biome stuff. Everybody's favorite, bloody diarrhea fruit. Even if it is high yield, would you really want to eat it? Might as well get the deadly seed, which is an herb. Use that for medicine. You can grow that in the grassland. Yeah, I'm gonna take your food. And the crab apple is a grassland one as well. So what have we got here? Okay, so grassland is gonna win this one for highest yielding fruits. These two farms were not really a mistake, but they're not as useful as the ones we're going to be putting down in the grassland here. Auto research kind of sucks for me. I'd rather just pick what I want to research as opposed to the game figuring out what I should or should not do. And it's really up to you to kind of build the way you want your research tree to look. Just read through each one of the items and figure out where you want to go with the nuggets and what direction you want to take, you know. Okay, so we're gonna get our first eateries down. And don't underestimate how many eateries you actually need. It's, I try and look at it as a rule of thumb. It's like every 5 nuggets gets an eatery, which seems really excessive, but they eat a lot. Okay, so we got the points. Get some more kiddos going on. Yeah, the residences are going to be building up as the population builds. And so I'm going to try and... I think I don't have much problem right now where they're going to eventually spread out into this space. And I'm going to want to spread down here and start blocking this area off with guard towers, just in case we get exiles around this area. Everybody hates the exiles, but I don't mind them. You know, they're easy to trade with, even if they are dicks sometimes. Yeah, any way I can help them. I'd rather be speeding up the process at the beginning. There's a lot of people that kind of just sit there and wait for nuggets to build everything. And honestly, it's really slow and it's pretty boring. So I'd rather get past this part of slow tediousness right off the bat. And then it gives you something to actually work with. Okay, first eatery's up. Now, I don't know if it matters much, but assigning nuggets with higher stamina to jobs may or may not have an effect. I got nothing proven yet, but I would figure that there's some kind of reasoning behind their stamina levels, especially because some of the unlocks actually allow you 4 stamina and movement speed, and yeah, right over here. So there's got to be something to it. I don't have a 100% good reason to assign a nugget to a job based on stamina alone. Okay, they're getting kind of nice in a row over here. I have to really keep an eye on how much water we have right off the bat because our population is growing pretty fast. So I'm going to actually stop them from building another house immediately beside it. That way it helps them spread out a little bit more. Another eatery. I can start putting multiples of buildings down now because I have enough that it's not going to take the entire population. At 16,000. See, with 4 pumps at 16,000 should do fine. And then I'll start heading over to this lake, which looks like it's got significantly more. So if we want to start beelining it down this way, we got to build engineers out to that area as well. And like I said, I'm just going to cut off some of the gnarly looking roads. It just doesn't even make sense to have them. Okay. And eventually we're going to have to go this way. I want to have my pumps right here, and maybe my first fishing hut as well. But look at, where the road's going. Is there a better route than what I think I should take? But I got to assume that, you don't need this road here. If you're going this way, you're going into oblivion. It's kind of an entire waste of a road at all. So I'm just going to kind of put it here. Again, that road is never going to be built now. And this area is far enough away from storage that I'd almost rather have something that they can go to and pick up some resources and then go out this way. We're going to prioritize that. Make sure the storage gets built first. Now another thing, there's this vortex power, so I need 21 wood and 21 stone instead of me picking and flicking a whole bunch of times. I can hold down control, hold down telekinesis without releasing the mouse button, and wait, and then in the bottom there, you can see that I have 22 wood, and I'll just throw that all in, and makes it quicker. It takes the same amount of points, it's more efficient. And I'll do that with some stone if I can get an isolated pocket over here. Okay. Now, nuggets are finally starting to get traits as well. You can see that little red apple. He's a nibbler, so he doesn't eat that much. But you got to keep an eye on some of the traits because there's some that'll slow you down. Like these guys, they're weak, right? They can't carry as much. They don't do as much. They're basically just worth the sacrifice points. But make sure that if you are having something like this, it's probably good to mark them so you don't accidentally mate them. There you go, pizza. Speaking of that, keep going back to Cupidon as well. And keep mating up anybody that you can, really. 24 nuggets in 28 years. I try and keep a nugget a year. kind of as a good guideline to work with. And this is pretty far away from them, so we'll help them again, just giving them the materials to build all this stuff, because even though the population is doing okay, they can use help for the next 100 years even easy. But you'll notice that I'm not really sitting around and waiting for anything, you know. Anything that you want to happen, especially early on, you have all the capability in the world just to use your god powers to keep it going. I can only assume that, you know, when this game comes out full, there'll be speed runs and everything. And I would love to see how that kind of community works. Okay, so we're getting pretty good engineer spread over here. What I'm going to try and do is move some of the nuggets that are wanting to build new houses over this way. I don't want them building in the desert because there's probably oil and other resources there. So I'll put that holy ground down here, and hopefully they start moving in here. Just making sure that there's a little bit of infrastructure for them to actually be comfortable around, so they don't have to travel a bunch of miles to get to food or anything. And now that we have a wolf attack, the first couple attacks are just a few wolves, but if you only have a few nuggets, it'll decimate your population. So you should be pretty small by this time, where you can actually see where they're coming from. But if you can't, go into the nugget news menu and you'll see exactly who's dying when they're dying. Scroll over to them and you'll be able to find exactly where the wolves are attacking. Wolf attacks, just pick them up and drop them, and they're toast. Make sure you got them all. Keep that menu up just for a second or two. If some other nugget dies because of wild animals, click over to them, and then you know exactly where they're getting attacked from. Okay, well, that sucked for a lot of people. Now, another thing you want early on is the hospital. That's why they unlock it pretty quickly. And the garrison. So we'll build them a hospital right off the bat. The only problem with having a hospital this early on is you don't have any herbs for the witch doctors to use. And yeah, effectively it's kind of a useless building until you get herbs. The nuggets will go lay in there, but they won't get cured. But regardless, it's good to have it, and then we'll start growing the herbs later. And the watchtowers and garrisons sort of go hand in hand. If you look at the crime, you know, this is good for crime, but bad for happiness. And this is bad for crime and good for happiness. So building these two sort of in tandem seems to work pretty well, because you want something that's going to fight crime and wolf attacks, but also keep everything else balanced. So just a couple watchtowers for now, but it's good to have them in sort of especially bottlenecked areas. If you can get little parts of where you can understandably figure out where the enemy nuggets are, or the wolves are going to be coming in through, like any kind of narrow pass, it's a good spot for a defense tower, because they have to pass by it. Okay, we're on the leather buckets. I think now's a good time to speed them up a bit and get some material refinement going on. So when we start building wooden planks and bricks, we can start building the parks, and the parks also do really, really good things for crime in the sense that they keep it down. You know, the Nuggets aren't so pissed off all the time because they got a spot to chill. It's got to be rough for a beginning Nugget, you know? Hungry, cold all the time, not even wearing clothes yet. So as this is coming along, we're going to kind of look at where we actually want to end up with most of the city center. And like, do I want to build out to here and then paint myself into a corner, or do I want to start looking at where the most land is in the future of the game? And it looks like around here, you know, I can have probably a few cosmodromes over here, launch a few rockets at a time, all the industry and all the dirty stuff. We'll take a look at what our neighbors are doing now. So they're not too far away. Another thing I would suggest is once you know where the neighbors are, start building towards them. You know, start with a line of engineers' huts in some reasonable path. And that would be my path for these guys over here. Even if roads don't lead there, this is where we're going next. So I won't build like way far out right off the bat because, you know, I'll have like all these nuggets dying and everybody be starving and thirsty and everything. So just build up a little bit at a time with an engineer's hut and a reservoir and an eatery. And then the more times you do this, the more little townships and communities you start creating. And everybody will have a little bit of supplies in each area. So if you have only a couple supply stops here in the warehouses, you need to build them spaced out based on the fact that you don't want a nugget that needs to build something over here to have to go all the way over to here to get supplies and keep coming back. You know, make everything accessible. You know, look at it as like a few cities as opposed to just one big city, or like little villages, I guess, that you're trying to create everywhere. Each one has some water, has some food, has a storage place, and then build up around that. You know, once you get the fire department as well, the whole planet can be fire coverage. And speaking of that as well is the cemeteries, because they take a lot of room up. You want to build those kind of early on so you're not screwing up your own game plans, right? Sometimes I get lucky and I'm able to plant one right near the epicenter, but not this time. Oh, I saw a flash of white there. Hold on. Game is picky, but sometimes it'll give you it. Sweet. There's one good one. Do I want that road? Is it doing anything for me? Not really. Yeah. And everywhere where nuggets go, you need a cemetery, unless you want infected zones all over the place. So it's worth building an excessive amount. Again, I overlap everything with an area of effect. You know, this would be, like, for example, like a prime spot, but I would screw up that road. So I'll put it over here. It's not super prime, but not too bad. I don't really have to worry if it's in the middle of a holy ground or not, because I can always move that, you know? If people build around it, all the better. And each building you look at, you know, what's a nugget going to need when they go to that building? And generally it'll be another bit of water and a little bit of food. Well, that's being built. That's being built over there at 87 points. So let's do another couple nuggy runs here. Get a couple more laborers on our side. Okay, so at this point in time, I'm looking at my neighbors should be built by now. We'll go pay them a visit. And here's a good time to bring up the planet filters as well. So if you click on this little eye here, right? First of all, you get blasted with bright white. So hopefully it's not on a huge screen. But if you go over to the danger area, first of all, it'll show you the infected areas, which are awesome to see. I mean, like, it's not awesome to see that we have infected areas, but it's good to see it on the filter. So we can cure those. While those cemeteries are being built, we'll get a couple more dead bodies out there. But what I was trying to get to is the exiles. Is if you're having trouble finding the exiles, put the filter on, and it'll point them out for you. So let's see what they have to trade. They're aggressive because we have them set on max aggression. So the prices are going to be pretty shit. But all I need is a few herbs, and I've got 140 wood, so I'm going to give them 25 or 25. A 1-to-1 ratio. Now I'm looking at it too is, can I give them 50 for 25? And I don't think this is a 1-to-1. No, it's not a 1-to-1. It's probably... This is going to be a crap trade. Yeah, it's not really worth it, but you know what? Starts me with a couple planks. And then H to go home. Okay, so things are looking pretty good over here. We got our first watchtower built. That's going to keep that crime level down. And because that watchtower is here, we can put a garrison in and crime won't go up. And garrisons and watchtowers very much the same in placement as well. You gotta figure out where your enemies might be coming from, whether it be wildlife or exiles. And you don't want your nuggets that are trying to defend you have to run halfway across the planet to get to a spot where they're actually in position. So think about where exiles and wolves are going to come from and plan around that. Okay, education's super important later on, but it's very useful to get out of the way as early as possible. And stockpiling and weightlifting are really useful as well. But the school systems, once you place those, then you start earning passive DP. So if you can look at maybe getting 6 school systems together early on, then you shouldn't have to have too many problems with the upgrades until you get the expedition center, which comes later on in the game, just automatically. Alright, it's pumping away. 31, 36 kids. Let's get one more going. Yeah, it's the only problem is that takes a lot of points. Okay. If you're in the weeds and you hit prioritize, just try and prioritize a couple buildings at a time. Because if you prioritize everything, then you're going to be in the exact same spot you were before. In this case, I'm just prioritizing cemeteries because I want them to get these guys out of the way ASAP. That way, we don't have too many infected zones going on. Not doing too bad there. So as we work our way out, we're getting to this lake over here, and we're getting to this lake over here. I'm going to give them a second to get these cemeteries prioritized and done before I start building a lot more, because yeah, it's just kind of how I want to roll with it today. I'm not trying to rush through the game, but I do want to show basically how to get the first 100 years up to where you're not feeling like you're overwhelmed with everything. Just have it all balanced, because this game should just flow smooth, That's until like chat comes in and destroys it all, but that's out of my control, If you want to play solo, is kind of more of what I'm leaning for, and I think we'll try and cover like how to deal with chat in one of these episodes as well. I'm gonna try something that I usually don't, and I'm actually gonna populate and make sure that my engineers' huts are always maxed out of people. Now it's kind of my understanding that they just fixed things, but there is one of the splash screens on the loading there that says they help build as well. Now I don't know how true that is, but maybe we'll see our construction rate increase if I have full engineers' huts everywhere. Only time will tell. Alright. And the rejuvenate button as well is you can hold down and go over everything. And in the bottom there, you'll see regenerate targets 2, 1, 0. So that'll cost me 10 points. That'll cost me 20 points. And so if you're trying to heal like a mass amount of area all at the same time, make sure that you have points for it. If you get 10 rotting bodies in one area, you only have 10 points. It's only going to cure one area, no matter how large you make the circle. Alright, sweet. Let's get that one out of the way. They've done a pretty good job on that one, clearing out all the trees. So we'll help them out over here. How many rocks do you need? 21. Alright. Again, I'm keeping my eye on the counter at the bottom. 21. There we go. 22. You get an extra rock, but no problem. And same with over here. Not going to have a lot of points for it. You know what? I'll let them just build that one. We should be good. It's always that balance. You never know when you're actually going to need points, so you don't want to get down to 0 and then have wolves attack, especially early on. Got a couple garrisons going up, which is good. Starting to build a farther out here. I try and look at garrisons at just little like, stations where they're like Stone Age police basically, except they don't arrest anybody. They just kind of keep you safe. Wherever I put a garrison, I try and make sure at least one defense tower goes down in tandem with it. It doesn't have to be beside it. But as long as we can keep our crime rate very low, I think it's a pretty sweet idea. Although the riots and stuff that are instigated aren't too bad, you just basically either zap some lightning around them or make them fall in love and they forget all about their riots. Because we have a lot of vast land over here as well, I'm going to concentrate on farming for a little bit. And as we've already discovered that the grassland is going to be the highest yield, so we'll make sure that we're getting more grassland territory than forest. I really try and keep like one main road that goes right across up to, my capacity of it, where if the game's going to veer off that way and I can't go straight, then there's nothing I can do about that, I would love to be able to manipulate that road over to here instead, but it's just not in the cards. Yeah, with the garrisons, they take 3 nuggets each. So if you build a lot early on, you're going to notice that you don't have a ton of laborers to actually fill in the spots. So as I populate this one, I'm going to make sure that at least 3 more families are going to have kids in order to take the strain off of those jobs being demanded there. You always want to have laborers, even when you have later on with the couriers huts and everything. Laborers are still really essential. Okay, once these farms get going up, we'll have education on the way. But after these farms, we have to do material refinement, or the refineries, basically. Get these 2 refineries up and going, and we're going to build quite a few of them, actually, and try and do them sort of in a clump where there are trees and stone. So I'll build 3 of those and watch my crime rate skyrocket, but instead I'll pause 2. I'll just have that as, like, you know, the blueprint of where I'm actually going to put them. And that's for the stone refinery. And the wood refinery ones, if I can find the most forested area. I don't know if it makes much of a difference, but I think it does, where the workers don't have to go very far for trees, right? We'll make this kind of the wood refinery area, and try and keep space for at least 1 more. You know, some games I'll find myself having 6 wood and stone refineries and still struggling to keep up. But 3 and 3 right off the bat is a pretty good start, because you're going to need a shitload of planks and bricks and all that. So my garrison's up and running. Not a lot of laborers though, so this is kind of where it can get problematic, because if you assign everybody to jobs and you don't have any laborers, nobody's going to drop off materials anywhere. It's always worth checking out how many laborers you're actually using. And 10 or 11 just isn't a great number. Fortunately, I'm going to take out this UFO before it takes one of my last remaining nuggets here. Get out of here. Come on. Just passing on through. Get out of here. There we go. And those UFOs eventually drop a space box, and it's the same thing as meteors on the planet. There's a little prize in them. Sometimes they have materials, sometimes they have disease, tornadoes, meteor showers. There's all kinds of stuff. It's pretty random, but if you leave it at the epicenter for long enough, they'll decode it for you, and it'll give you hints as to what is actually in there. So these guys are slowly coming along. I would rather waste the points on Cupidon as opposed to telekinesis at this point in time. The more babies we can have, the better off, right off the bat. I try and keep the food, like I was saying before, almost like every 5 nuggets you put down another restaurant, and it seems incredibly excessive, but you know what? It seems to balance out too. So how's our holy ground looking over here? Not great, because there's all kinds of stuff on it, but we got 1 residential. So that's all I really needed over there. I'm going to start spreading them out a bit farther. And I want them to move just up this way. They don't need to go too far from the core. Put out the house fire, alright. Some of the beginning quests are very easy. They're just tutorials on how to use certain powers. But some of the quests a little later on are just really confusing for a lot of people. So I'd like to be able to explain those. And as we keep making our way over this way, we keep looking at the defense towers, which is in a good spot, but I'm going to put another one down here once those are built, because that's a cutoff. You know, if anybody's coming through this way, at least a defense tower will give you a little heads up, or a little bit of defense. Hence the name. As we're coming up and over here, I got to keep an eye on my intake as well. I try at the top of the winter, I try and have at least double my consumption stored, so I'm, minus 60, so, 120 in a tank or my reservoirs here would probably be the best way to go to get through the whole entire winter. And if you can have triple or whatever, even better. But if you're at, say 62 stored and you're consuming 60, then you're probably not going to make it through the whole winter without using God powers. This area is coming along all right. Back up to 17 unemployed. Keep doing it. We got the money, we got the points. Might as well get them on it. Now this one farm is going to be just for herbs, and it should be the only one I need the entire time. Except I need the actual herb that goes with it. So that's devil's lettuce, which lo and behold is right there. There we go. We'll pop that into the farm. And now we got an herb farm. Now all those herbs are going to help with the hospitals. A lot of the sick nuggets will get cured now. And that's what we want. We want to be as hands-off at the end of the game as possible. You don't need to go running around curing people and getting rid of infected areas and all that crap, because it's more aggravating than you need it to be. So as long as you got good cemetery coverage, or good coverage of all things, then you should be fine. And yeah, it's a good idea to stay ahead of the black market. Yeah, good for you. Good idea to stay ahead of basically everything as it grows, and the cemetery is one of the biggest things that you need to lay down. So kind of keep an eye. It's like, okay, I'm going to use this space for it, but I'm not built up enough to actually start putting things up out here yet. So once you start getting a few residences over this way, I'll keep an eye up here as well. They're building a few residentials. The thing I'm trying to stay away from is like big clumps. Oh crap, we're under attack. Who are we under attack from? Okay, well I got my garrisons going. So let's see how they're doing against our aggressive exiles. I'm going to help my guys out a bit. Maybe cheat a bit. Rejuvenate. Yeah. I don't think you're going to make it, bud. Alright. Good job, guys. Yeah, good reason to have garrisons early on, especially when you've got exile aggression maxed out. And we should have another garrison coming up. That's B5-3. Yeah, that garrison's up there. That one's up there. That one's still being built. See no reason not to put another one down the way, as we can only assume that there's going to be many more attacks in the future. Okay, so I got 16 unemployed. This can hold 6 in total, but that is a lot of staff that's getting taken off the labor force right now. So I'm only going to start with 3. And wait until our numbers get a little bit bigger before I fully assign in the stone refineries. And I'm just going to keep 1 in that garrison now operating and have them hunt small animals. Yeah, that wood refinery definitely needs a little bit of help. And how much stone does it need? 21. Gonna help them out with just a few big ones instead of using all my CP up on that vortex. Okay, good. That one should pop up pretty fast. Get a few more nuggies in there. We've kept this area cleared just in case there is gas that we could use. And we'll get into mining and quarries pretty fast. And then up to... yeah, we'll get the farm upgrade last because we need to accumulate planks, wood, and iron for that. And the iron's not even unlocked yet. Another part of it is just keep thinking of what you're going to need in the future. You know you're going to need gas for glass. You know you're going to need oil for cement eventually. And just start mining resources as fast as possible. And the whole trick is not waiting on anything. You know, if you can find reasons not to have any downtime as you're building, instead of just watching them, always be active about it, right? As I said, in the Stone Age, there's always something to help with. And that works as it gets them on your side as well. You know, the more nuggets that see you, the more believers you have, the more points you get anyways. So it doesn't hurt to help. It's a little life lesson. Okay, so we're coming up on our first winter, or second winter here. And we're looking not too bad consumption, so as long as I have 140 reserved, I think we'll make it through this. But this is a pretty good time to start getting more pumps on this lake. Start with 3 of those, and that way our reservoirs should fill up pretty fast, although we might be capped out at 240 for now until we build a few more and get the reservoir upgrades as well. I do try and put a lot of reservoirs around, just so everybody has a drink, everybody can travel very short distances to get drinks anywhere. Okay, what's the mission we got here? Yeah, okay, so we got a dead nugget kicking around. And this awesome contrasty light. It's usually pretty easy to see, but yeah, it's still pretty easy to see. Okay, we'll rejuvenate the area. And we'll pick the nugget up and throw him in the cemetery. There we go. Okay. This one's good to go. I can unpause this guy now. Have him start building this one. Our labor count's going not too bad. I'd rather have 20. So we have the points. So we'll do the same thing as we always do. And I'm going to unassign a couple of these until we get the numbers again. I just need one factory working right now in order to get some stone and some planks to get everything started. And then as we get a little bit bigger, I'll assign all 3 of those refineries full of nuggets. So when you have 18 nuggets working on planks and bricks, it seems to accumulate pretty fast. Okay, so everything's coming along. Just keep looking at what we need. Let's get a bit more of the love going on. Yep, change of plans. Okay. That'll put another couple nuggets into our baby counter over here. And with the rest, let's help out with a bit more building, especially these water pumps. We want to get these done and dusted. So as soon as it warms up, it's pumping all kinds of water back into the reservoirs. All right, they're all good. Another really cool little thing that they incorporated is if you don't have any wood stored in here, you can use telekinesis and just boop, Now you got a bit of wood stored in. You know, you're gonna have to do it a whole whack of times for it to be really useful, but it's just nice that they allow you to manually throw wood into the refineries and rock into the stone refineries as well. Now I've got that guy turned off because why waste the water for right now? We're not even full on these ones yet. Got 3 kids on the way here. We should have the iron mine up now, or the iron mine just unlocked. And this you want to get on as soon as possible too, because very, very soon you're going to need all kinds of iron for everything. That's a pretty good spot for now. At 1600 iron, that's not too bad for our first starting one. And as we work around the planet, we'll find better mountains with a bit more iron in them. And the stone mine is super useful as well, because it just keeps feeding stone instead of nuggets having to run up the mountainsides for it. As you can tell, you know, I got 159 needed and 0 collected. And sometimes that's pretty annoying. So I do have planks and bricks being produced at 1.2. We have 16 nuggets for laborers, so let's get a couple more babies again. Well, I'm up to 9, which isn't too bad, but still rookie numbers. We got a couple more on the way. I'm gonna fill, no, not this one. I'm gonna fill this one up with all 6 workers, and I'm gonna go over to the stone refinery and do the same. And that'll help the output of planks and bricks. The first thing we're gonna do with the planks and bricks is build a Cupidon park. This is the park we unlocked from saving the nugget. And as you can see with the 3 dots on crime, it works really well against combating crime, and it's making them happy as well. So that's 9 and 9. I have 4 and 2, so we're gonna have to wait for them to actually produce it before I can build this, but make that the first thing they construct with the planks and bricks and the iron mine as well. I'm gonna let you make your own decisions on all those quest things or the trade things. I don't want to ruin any part of the game that you should experience yourself. I don't want to tell you the right answers or anything. I just want to get you started here. And then after that, once you get all the basics down, then the world is yours, like literally. Yeah, I'm hoping if I can help just one person kind of get a better grasp of the game instead of having them throw their hands up in frustration, being like, well, what the hell's going on? If I can do that, then I've done my job. Now these traps, I don't know if they actually do work or not. Sometimes I put them out, sometimes I don't. I can't notice when I get that food from a trap. There's no notification about it or anything, so I don't really know if it's actually doing anything. I know the hunters actually go out in the garrisons and they'll hunt whatever animals you assign. But it's probably a good idea to not have them overhunt things because they can go extinct. And if they go extinct before you can tame the mammoths, then you never get that sustainable supply of mammoth meat when you get to cattle farms in the medieval age. Okay, so we got those pumps rocking over here. These ones are getting close. And how much do we have on this lake? 40,000. Beautiful. So these ones... Okay, so we have just upgraded our water pumps as well. So that means we're going to need quite a few more bricks to get these ones done, and planks. And how many laborers are we up to? 17. So again, I'll go back, I'll turn this guy on. I'm going to add 3. And then I'm going to go mate 4. Except for you. We have you marked because you're lazy. Or weak or something. not the reproductive trait that I would like. There you go. You look like you're full of piss and vinegar. We'll make a kid. Okay, so these residentials are being built, and like I said before, I don't want huge clusters of residential. I'd rather have them spread out. So I'm going to move that holy ground over this way now. And hopefully we get a couple more over here and start building a pretty nice little downtown core in this area. Keep an eye on my water. My storage is doing pretty good right now. But another thing we're going to need is the stone mine relatively quickly based on this run through, as we're hurting for stone all the time. And the iron mine needs to be built in order to get the gas mine. So hopefully, because it's prioritized, those next bout of wooden planks and bricks will go to the iron mine specifically. We're not doing shit there yet. Root of the problem. Okay, now we gotta defeat this big old shrub, or it knocks out all my nuggets. And this is tricky because you want to have enough points to, if you hit it and it sets on fire, you want to be able to extinguish that fire. And look, our crime rate's skyrocketing until we get the Cupidon Park built, which is the first priority of the wood and the planks and bricks. And where is it? Yeah, anytime now, guys. I mean, you've taken them for something. I just don't know what you've taken them for. Well, regardless, find out what's going on with that. Just gonna take a bit of time. There you go. They just chucked a whole bunch there. That's where they went. Yep, just like that. We got a nice little fire going on. And I have no fire stations yet. So I gotta put it out with trickle, but I'm gonna wait for it to get a little bigger. Hopefully this thing resurfaces and hurts itself on the fire. I think it does. I don't think it hurts it much, but coming up again. A little too warm for you? Come on, buddy. You got some camera shy or something. Oh, there you go. There you go. How you doing with that flame? Is that hurting you at all? It looks like it's doing nothing. Okay. Well, why put out a fire just to start another one? You guys get out of here. Yeah, go that way. Okay, so I only got 40 points left. I don't really want that fire to spread. I might just do a quick sacrifice of the lazy just to get my points up there. Yeah, weak labor, no problem. There you go. Okay. Now we got enough points that just in case, if we do set a fire after this next zap, we can put it out and have no worries of it burning anything. Anytime now. There you are. And unfortunately, it's going to take one more zap. As Murphy's Law says, this last zap will put me under 40 points and start a fire. But we'll do it anyways. For science or something. One more. Come on. You guys are walking in a bad spot right now. The reason I want to knock him off as soon as he gets out here is I don't want him slapping around any of the nuggets that are walking through. Get out of here. Alright, he's toast. Good stuff. Now later on on the research tree, we can unlock the expedition camp, and the expedition camp, you can send nuggets down and start getting discovery points. At this point in time, though, I'd rather start investing in schools. The schools gain passive DP, and super useful for educated nuggets. Kind of the only way to do it. I don't really need that crossroad. It would be nice to keep it, but not necessary. And I generally try and build the schools around a few residences. That way, you know, if a baby nugget's born, he just hops out of the residence and then goes right into the school. And as always, that's going to take a whole bunch of planks and everything. They're super pissed because I have a lot of gnarly stuff. But we can cure that. We can do a temporary little dose of dopamine that helps them out a bit with the crime. And that is as we're waiting for the first Cupidon Park to be built. As soon as this guy gets built, that should drop that crime down a couple points. And got 20 laborers, not too bad. I'm gonna unpause this one, keep bumping up the crime a bit. And I'm gonna assign just 3 nuggets again until we get a few more laborers on hand. We're gonna, how many we got? 14? Yeah. Want to get that number back up to 20 if possible. That wasn't me. Wasting my wood, man. Okay. It's coming along. We're spreading out. I'm going to start focusing on getting all the water and everything around here as well. A couple more eateries. Maybe it'll entice them to move in if there's a McDonald's on their block. Oh, look. You're moving in. Okay. So once we get to the quarries, we can start going into the oil jack and glass blowing, pyrology. And before I make it into the Tudor architecture age, we're going to try and cover off a lot of the research we missed. Upgrade some of the huts and everything. And then once we're all fully upgraded, then it's probably a good idea to go into Tudor. But you don't want to have all this stuff lagging behind and then go into it, because you'll never really catch up. Why do you pick the farthest away nugget to fall in love with? Or maybe you already were in love. That's probably what it was. Okay, they're coming along nice. Still 0 on the bricks though, so we need to up our brick production. And we need to keep the laborers in a steady flow. Cupidon Park should be almost done, so that... Let's see what that does for the crime rate. Hoping it knocks it all the way down, but I don't think it will. I think we need another one. Other than that, we just got to keep an eye. So we're definitely needing more eateries now, because we can't keep up. We're at 76 nuggets, only 50 prepared meals. So we'll start dropping more eateries after this is done. Again, not to overwhelm them too much. Once I get a few hundred laborers under my belt, then game on. but until that point in time, you want to take it low and slow. You don't want to burn them all out. Alright, and that confetti and that sound was basically saying that that holy ground is now full. So I'm going to pick another holy ground right after I just look at what this does for the crime. Let's see. Boom, all the way down to nothing. So those Cupidon parks are pretty key for the beginning of this. If you don't want to have riots, place these down before you place down most of your industry, and it should keep them kind of abiding by the law. Okay, so this guy should be prioritized. We can help them out a bit with this. Just at least clear the trees for him. Kind of a double-edged, again, just clearing the materials that you're using anyways. And we'll look for more storage over here. Yeah, if we don't have a single storage, probably a good idea to put one sort of on a main thoroughfare. Alright, we got these little dudes. These guys are perfect for sacrificing. Look around for any more red. I think we're good. Okay. That's great. These are all filling up residential wise, which is awesome. I'm gonna try and get a bit more over this way. Doesn't make a lot of sense to keep putting them over here because they're not really going that way. You know, we're gonna end up, well, we kind of trapped ourselves between mountains a little bit. It kind of looks like this is going to be the next course of action over here, so I'll wait for this to build up just a bit, and then I'll redirect them down to this way. And by that time, we should have a little bit more infrastructure to actually help them out with. Oh, there's another one. Sweet. Where'd you go? They were in the city. I know, that's why everybody's pissed, is because there's orators in the city. I just can't see any. It'd be nice if the garrison took them out, but I don't think they do. We just have to wait until for 10 minutes. They'll be really pissed off. We might get a couple riots. Nice when it shows you, but it doesn't show you all the time where the orators are. Okay, we got 21. I'm gonna get everybody in the iron mine right now. Get that rocking. And we got enough Cupidon to get them a couple more kids in. Let's get the single ones going. Okay, nice. Help them out a bit with the building of their residentials, because those are the easiest ones to fill up in the queue. And yeah, I know that a lot of people at this point in time, they just want to wait on everything. And it can get pretty boring, again, just kind of waiting around and watching them do stuff. And that was nice. That was a good one. We didn't need that one, do we? Nah, they can build somewhere else. Sure could use a fire department. Still waiting on them though. So we're almost, yeah, we have waiting on pyrology to be unlocked still. And I'll get the farm upgrades. Wait till these priests are out of the city. Couple more minutes left. Okay. What do we got here? Another Cupidon Park getting done. Still not going to do anything for the anger level right now because of these orators, which sucks, but what can you do, you know? And hopefully, yeah, 19. Okay, we're coming up again on a pretty decent amount of laborers. Never enough, though. Never enough. How about the teacher? He can stop teaching for a second. Go spread a different kind of information. And do they like me or not? They don't really like me that much. After all I've done for them. Just a couple sacrifices, but they still don't like me. There's not a whole lot I can do with this CP to get a whole bunch of nuggets on my side. Usually, if a little farther on in the game, if I have, you know, quite a few hundred nuggets, I'll take all the lazy and all the weak ones and I'll sacrifice them. And that'll get this to drop all the way down. But then if I spend all that CP that I got from the sacrificing on trees, that goes all the way back up. Now, because I'm at half, I might be able to get away with knocking out a couple of these weak ones for a few hundred points. That gives me, yeah, not a lot. I want to really get them fearful of me for a second. And we got enough lazy people to get that fear going. 1, 2. This should give me enough points. Get them all back on my side. And then it removes all my lazy people out of society too, which is perfect. Okay, so I got 600 and some odd points. What I'm going to try and do is show you how this actually works. Okay, so 600 points. I'm going to spread all that CP all the way through that. And see how the tables are turning again. So I just spent 500 points, and let's see how far that gets me. If it gets me all the way, that's perfect. Then I know that I can sacrifice up to 1,000 points worth of nuggets and only spend 500, and we're producing at 17 a minute again. Okay. So we're going to keep an eye out on the wolves. Generally, if you can see a hunter running in a direction, it means they're coming from here somewhere. Or maybe not. Not all the time, that's for sure. That guy was just running to his death. He was Nope. Doesn't look like they're going in any particular direction right now. There we go. Wild animals right here. Okay. Nope. Oh, you got one. Okay. That means it's probably a good spot to build the garrison, although there is one there. Ah, that's why. Not many people in the garrison to defend this sector here. Okay, at 82, still 12. Yeah, that's the only problem with sacrificing any amount of nuggets early on, is we don't have that many to sacrifice. It's just a now problem, though. It's not a future problem. How's our eateries doing? Okay, 2 still being built. Let's get these prioritized and help them out a bit with it. And everything else seems to be pretty good. Get that stone going up there as well. That'll give them a nice little kickstart for the eatery. The more food courts we can have, the better. Because I feel like I'm lagging pretty good at 83 nuggets and 51 prepared meals. You know, I need to account for that and get 30 more prepared meals going on somehow. And it's probably getting to be a good time to start looking at the upgrade. Maybe we can even start fishing. A lot of people start with the fishing and then rely on that, but as you saw with my beginning strategy, is get to agriculture right off the bat. Forget everything else and go for farms, and then you shouldn't have too much of a problem maintaining raw food throughout the game. As long as you're just keeping an eye on it, you know? Okay, get a few more rocks up in there. They don't need a lot. I'm just trying to eyeball the biggest ones over there. Okay, those are all ready to go. Let's get one of them prioritized at least so they can start building houses out here. Making more babies out this way. And we'll keep keeping an eye on crime. So that means definitely another watchtower on this horizon over here. And another little village is created. And the system is really repetitive after a while, you know? Put in engineers, and a water, and a storage, and an eatery, and a fire. And keep doing that everywhere, and you'll have full coverage. And a cemetery. Yeah, that eatery's done. Good to know. How many labors? 16. Okay. Another 4. 2, 3. Do I have enough points? Yeah, one more. There we go. Another 4 kids to compensate for those jobs that we just put them in. And then take a look at the numbers again. Almost there. Yeah, we've got pretty good coverage for engineers' huts. Always good to just fill in the little blank spots. You know, as much coverage as you can possibly get for all of your resources, the better. You know, everything will be more efficient in the future if you have everything spaced out. So that looks like that holy ground has those residences on it. Do I need to build a lot more over here? Not really, but I'll wait for them to fill up this area with a bit more residences before I move the holy ground. And wow, something's got messed up over here, eh? Apparently, we don't have good cemetery coverage here. 90, 16, stone refinery. We're doing pretty good on stone, so I'm just gonna keep that empty for right now. Obviously, I don't need a cemetery. I just need an upgrade on the cemetery for this area because apparently people are dying too fast. So that'll be the next step we take after we get through glass blowing. And there's putting along over here as well, which is good. Another little trick, if you're not using town hall, which I'm not right now, is sort the list by its production, and you'll see which buildings still need workers in it. And if it doesn't have a condition, it means it's still under construction. So you can sort by everything that's under construction, and you see that we have 2 and a bit pages worth of things to build. And then if you sort by production, you'll see that the temple and the stone and wood refineries don't have anything because we intentionally haven't put any nuggets in there yet, as we don't need them. We're still doing pretty good on both bricks and planks, but that's going to change soon enough, and we'll have to open up those. But by that time, we'll have enough unemployed nuggets to actually fill in those spots. Okay, we're back in the green. And we should have these getting primed up to be upgraded as well. I'm only going to prioritize one of them because I just want one upgraded at a time. Okay, we're moving on pretty nicely here. I have a fair share of iron, so I'm going to start building a gas mine as well, at least one. Looking for, you know, if I can get to 1,000 plus areas, those are the better areas to be in right to start. And because we kept that area blank, knowing it was desert, we scored where we've got a pretty good haul, very close to everything else. But 1268, I'm going to keep that guy there. And as I said before too, is stone mine kind of sounds weird, but it's a lot better than them going up the mountain every time to grab a single rock. Just put a stone mine down, and then you don't have any issues with stone until the mine runs out, obviously. But once you get it down, you don't have them running around looking for stone anymore. It just goes right into storage. That's a pretty sweet spot for it if it'll fit. There we go. 1463. I'll buy that for $1. Yeah, I missed the vote, but that's okay. So I had to do that quick before explaining, but If you don't want somebody to win, say if they've got food for all, or like I just did, I forgot about the vote until the very last second. Just take that candidate and sacrifice them, and then they can't run anymore. It's not many times where you actually have to do that, especially if you influence the vote right off the bat. The majority of nuggets will always vote for what you've influenced. Okay, 95, 21. Let's keep on keeping on here. I had another school up. No, it's still not being built here. Prioritize that. Now, helping them as they get into the later part of the Stone Age is a little more difficult because you can't just pick up stones and throw them in here. You have to wait until they get refined into planks and bricks. And a workaround for that, which I haven't done on this run through, but I can try it basically right here. So the fact that it's empty is a great start, where I'm not going to accept anything here except for planks and bricks. So now once I get rid of that, so now whenever I need just planks and bricks, I can go to this storage with telekinesis, and I can pull out just planks and bricks, and I can go throw it at any building that needs them. And there's going to be a lot of buildings that need them all the way throughout, right up to the modern age. And you start getting into steel and everything later on, but planks are pretty much used all the way through the entire game. Okay, this stuff's working pretty well. Yeah, I like knocking together a relatively healthy number of population early on. That way everything gets built, you know, you're not waiting on anything. And as I said before, that's a big kicker for a lot of people, is like they just get bored. They're not doing anything, it doesn't feel like. But you can always make work for yourself in this game, and that's kind of an intriguing part about it, is you can be active, or you can just sit there and kind of wait. But for now, as well, I know I'm gonna need these in the future, so I'm gonna keep building refineries out here. And put one. Oh, it was right there. It was right there. Come on. 2. I'm gonna pause that one because I don't really need one yet, but I'll get that 4th one built, and same with the wood refinery. And these are more like contingencies, right? Where like I don't need it right now, but I know I will in the future. Okay. All this getting slowly built up. 15. Not great numbers for it. Crime's going back up, so we'll plant another Cupidon down. Prioritize that, and hopefully that keeps them at bay. And there we go. We're building out pretty nicely. In the first 80 years, it's not too bad of a spread. Another one will get working immediately is the oil jack, and same thing as this desert was specifically worked around so we could make sure we got the most oil utilized. And 2160 looks like it's going to be it. Later on, once the oil jack is all empty, then you can go back to that area and just build whatever you need on it. It's not a space that needs to be reserved after all the oil and gas is depleted. Alright, so after pyrology, we're going to invest in the upgrades for funerary practices as well. And we'll give them another 5 years to their life and divine punishment, which helps with the twins. And then once that's done, we can go for the spelunkology and the antiseptics, which gives them another 5 years. But we're making enough passive DP right now that we shouldn't need to go on expeditions. Like, it's not going to kill us if we don't. But you need that DP eventually, where a lot of stuff slows down if you're not getting the unnecessary upgrades. Okay, we got enough CP. Let's get a couple more Cupidons going on and help them out a bit more in that farther section here. Speed it all up. Yeah, all this needs basic materials, which is great. And the farther we build out, sometimes the slower things will get, but it's worth trying to build it out instead of staying really tight in there. Especially with this holy ground power now, where you can basically direct the residences wherever you want them, which we'll do again right now. So I want a couple over here. We've got a few there. I'm trying really hard to stay away from like big clusters of residential buildings because it just doesn't do them any good for them to have to travel like halfway across the world to their job and then come back. I'm not exactly sure if the game assigns the closest nugget house to its workplace. Somewhat doubt it, but I'd like to think by spreading out the residences a lot farther than having them compact, it makes them easier to access and they can get home faster, you know, and they can get to their restaurants faster and everything else instead of having to go like halfway across the planet for a burger. I mean, it'd be a good damn burger if you're going halfway across the planet for it. The $5 milkshake. Make me waste all my CP here. Get out of here, man. Taking all my nuggets. Fine. Just bring them back. And we got the meteor storm incoming. Luckily, it's not anywhere near any of our stuff, so we don't have to protect anything from it. Okay, we gotta rejuvenate this while that engineer's right beside it is being built. Prioritize that guy. And help him out a little bit with a few rocks and trees. Oh, we're under attack again. Nice. Those are my garrisons. We got enough troopers in them. Yep, all my garrisons are full. So, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna help these guys out a bit. Oh, well, apparently that rejuvenate didn't do as much as I wanted it to. So I gotta actually intervene with this one. Are you worth the points? I think I only get 10 points off of exiles. If I can find the temple. So press H to go home. This temple's always built right next to your epicenter, or very close to it. Yeah, that big temple looking building. I got a couple points out of it, but there we go. Good job, guys. I got one more. I got a couple more. Alright, I'll help you out. There we go. Toasted. Still under attack? Nope. Okay, so once that couple Cupidon parks get built, that crime rate should come down a bit better. Meantime, we'll throw some anti-city alleys up as well, because they are pretty quick to make. They don't do as well with crime, but they're still useful. Try and just cram them in little unusable spots for anything else. You know, it's like not like they're going to be building anything over here. Yeah, give them a nice little park near the cemetery. Now I know in the loading screen it says keep your cemeteries away from like main roads and everything, because when nuggets pass by they get sad. But there's not actually like a sad trait or anything. You know, there's nothing that they don't get affected by cemeteries. Is what I'm trying to say. Is you can build them where they need to be built, and they'll be fine. Don't worry about putting them on a main road or anything. Just put them wherever your area of effect needs to be. Okay. Doing too bad here, but I am anticipating a riot pretty soon based on that whole influx until the Cupidon Park is built. And I think Jolted Joy is like 40 points, 30 points. We don't want to waste all our points on a Jolted Joy. Sure, let's try it. There you go. Brought crime down a little bit for now. Now, as the population's rising over here, so we got one residential moving in. And an eatery. The warehouse probably should be one of the things I want to prioritize. I want to get more materials up there so they can build the rest around it. And let's see how this warehouse is working out. The one I designated, not working out at all. So they're storing all these materials in different areas right now. Once we get a major surplus of bricks and planks, then that one should just fill up with bricks and planks, and we'll have no worries about finding them. We'll take the telekinesis and we'll throw them into all the buildings that need them. Okay. Engineers that could use a hand. There we go. Now, a big part of this education too is the teacher has to actually be in the class in order for them to be educated. So if the teacher's doing nothing like this one is, sometimes it's better to fire them and hire an educated or a hard worker. The icon you want to look for the most is this one here, the workaholic. They seem to, well, the one I just fired. So I don't know, maybe doing nothing is they were just on break or whatever. But workaholics are said to be one of the better ones. Obviously, the jury's out on that one. All right, hopefully that Cupidon Park is coming up. I have no laborers. 13 laborers. every once in a while it won't let you assign through that. You know, we have plenty of laborers, but I'm not sure why it wouldn't let me actually autofill it. Early access woes, I suppose. Oh, this cemetery's working hard, eh? Got all kinds of stuff from that last battle there. Only had enough points for one, so hopefully these, yeah, you gotta take their dead bodies back to this one. Dude's an exile, man. What's his name? Hit cause of death, blood loss. Yes, indeed. Alright, we got botany researched, sweet. So those are the farm upgrades where we're gonna need planks and iron and wood. And we're doing pretty good on all that right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually upgrade these. I'm gonna start with the vegetation farms first, because the herb farm doesn't really need to be upgraded immediately. And yeah, well, why not? You know, we're going into winter. These farms shut down anyways, so I'm not going to be missing any production if I can get them all done before the end of winter, which seems feasible. Okay, well, they're slowly building up over here. Had a couple little hiccups for the exile attacks, which kind of took down our numbers. But that's to be expected, you know. That's the stuff that you have to deal with, especially as the game keeps progressing. You gotta expect that the exiles will get stronger and harder to defeat. You know, for those that like a challenge. And I think there's a interesting. There's definitely variables that you can adjust, right? So you don't have the exile attacks ever, or you can have them often, which we have them set on now, just so I can show you how I deal with them. There's nothing to be afraid of in this game, though, you know? Everything has a solution somewhere. And may not have noticed, but I don't use bunkers either. I've never found a reason to actually use them. Every disaster can basically be solved without needing nuggets stopping their progress on stuff. I mean, sure, sometimes you can save a few lives, but most of the time, not really worth it. Just stops production to a halt, you know. It's, I don't know. I'd rather just keep them working throughout the storm. Another quick useful tip, especially as I'm placing multiple, because I want to cover the entire place with fire coverage, is if you hold shift down, you can place multiple. Super useful for when you're doing especially massive amounts of anything. You know, if you need to build 100 reservoirs, which probably wouldn't ever need to build that many, but you need to build a lot of something, hold shift down and it'll get you covered. Now this is a big hit on my production system here, and I understand that. It's going to take a little while to get these done, but then I don't have to think about it anymore. You know, once my entire city's covered with fire control, then if a firestorm hits, then it hits, and we deal with it. Try not to overlap these too much in most situations, but in this particular one, I doubled up quite a bit of that. Alright, we got another wolf attack coming up. Let's see how we do with this one. So hopefully my garrisons are kind of running up to par here. I should probably use another one, but I don't want to rock that out yet because of the crime. So I'll wait for my Cupidon parks to be built, some of the anti-city alleys. And until that time, we'll just kind of look at our nugget news. And as soon as we see the first wild animal attack death, we'll hop over there, and then we'll take them out ourselves. Later on in the game, when you get barracks, that's pretty much the end of your wolf problems. The barracks just go out and they just annihilate them. Old age. I got my cemetery. There's the wild animals. I will cure the cemetery in a second. And we will take care of these wolves. Get a bit more food. There we go. Wolf attack averted. And generally when there's... I usually just set up a defense tower closer to where the wolves have attacked. Not saying that they're going to attack from that same direction every time, but this area here, if it's well guarded, then the likelihood of them getting through the defenses is a lot less, I'd say. Okay, that cemetery we still need to fix. And the reason for that is the engineers over here is either too far away or not built yet. So let's check that out. And I'm going with not built. Almost there. We got a lot of upgrading to do, but I don't want to get all of it done all at the same time because just nothing will get done. We got enough points for Cupidon again, and we've only got 18 laborers, so let's try and get that number up to 30-ish, and that'll help a lot with speeding up all the labor delivery. Try and get some of the single ones involved, the ones with the little cones. These guys aren't married to anybody yet. And what I assume is once you get them married, then they have multiple children, which is good for population. Get that guy, and that guy. And we're pretty much on track, 92 to 108. Again, it's not a hard and fast number because within the next 50 years or so, that number starts going exponential growth on you. Where, year 150, you should have 300 nuggets. But the first 100 years, try and keep a nugget a year as kind of a basic guideline. If you have less than 93 nuggets in 93 years, use that Cupidon power as much as possible in order to get your numbers up whilst maintaining a healthy amount of food. Because you want to have all those balanced every time. I'm looking at my water now, right? I got 10 minutes worth of water left. So odds are I'm going to need to increase the flow of my pumps, and I'm going to increase the amount of reservoirs I have. These spots are a little concerning because engineers should have been built a long time ago now. It just seems like sometimes there's hiccups, and you just got to help them out again, as usual. Hold their hand, make them thrive. I'm sure they don't mind. Okay. Alright, those are coming along alright. And yeah, everything seems to be doing good except for eateries. So eateries are on the list next for upgrades because we need to get 2 chefs in each one. And that'll bump our production up. As you can see now, it's falling significantly. And if that gets to 0, then yeah, not great. They can survive off of raw food, but it feels like they stay fuller longer when there's more food available that it's prepped. Alright. That's a cemetery free zone, it looks to be, eh? Looks to be. Alright. Some stuff's going down over here. And that is because I haven't upgraded this cemetery. And I've got a sweet little dead zone right there. So that'll be prioritized as well. Let's get this guy going so I can get 2 gravekeepers in here, because it's an obvious sign that they can't keep up with the work if I've got all that infection in that one little area. Another good reason to overlap your cemeteries. Yeah, okay, we got a riot. People are not happy with the fact that they're building so slow. There's a couple ways to deal with riots. One thing is to convert them into lovers, and that just gets him, or you know, if you pick a really old one, they're just gonna die. So I just wasted my points on that guy. Another one would be hit him with lightning or use telekinesis, to scare some of them off. They will come back though, even if they're scared. But yeah, that really comes down to just once these parks get built, we're just kind of waiting on those. Yeah, Cupidon's still taking its sweet time. That's sort of some of the problem with, I have a strategy going on, but it is really reliant on them actually building the stuff that I put down. And that can be difficult. Yeah, that can be really difficult sometimes of predicting what they're going to do with it, especially once you start building a lot. At the beginning of this run through, I showed you just to go really slow and be able to take a few items and build up on it instead of just throwing the whole world at them all at the same time. Always keeping an eye on how many nuggets we have, how many nuggets we're producing. Attempt to keep them happy in any way we can. And the happier the nuggets are, the more chances they have to have twins. The research speed goes up, creator point generation. There's a lot of good reasons to be a good god in this game, even though being a bad god is probably more fun. It really depends on what your goal is. If you just want to have fun, then by all means, just take what I've said with a grain of salt. And if I can help you get to a good or bad god scenario, either way is awesome. As long as you're having fun, that's a huge part of this. And with the Twitch integration, I think it's a really good way to have a lot of fun, because there are a lot of characters out there, and they'll throw you for a loop. Okay, good. Cemeteries are coming up. What I like to see. Hopefully that'll alleviate this area's infection problem. We'll do another double check on if we have any kicking around. Looks like we're pretty clear. That's great. Prioritize this one as well. Make sure that we get all the cemeteries upgraded, and then all the eateries upgraded. And once we get Divine Intervention, which we just did, and the extra years added onto their lives, it'll help a lot, because we just won't be losing as many nuggets as fast. I guess we can give them clothes now too, and maybe do some fishing. Help with the food. Yeah, I'll take down their hunger needs a bit, and that should help quite a bit. Yeah, we need these anti-city alleys and Cupidon parks pretty fast, because without them, that crime rate's going to stay the same. We're going to have just an annoying amount of crime until these things are up, which always kind of threw me for a loop. But I kind of get it too, like imagine being in a place where you couldn't ever go to a park, or you couldn't go chill anywhere nice, that would suck. Okay. And the last note I'm going to leave this stream on is, I just say no all the time, and the way to say no to this is just drag it just a little bit down over here. If you go all the way down here, you use all your CP. you're gonna for sure decline, but you just need to go 10 CP in, and then they'll start declining it. I mean, I guess you could accept it as well if you wanted to, but I think for the most part, most people just say, screw them, and get your own resources. Okay, so that marks 100 years. That's the first 100 years of a neutral trait run through. I hope some of this information you can use to make your game a little bit more streamlined, a little less confusing, a little less aggravating, and not be so bored of just waiting and watching. Get involved, build that stuff, keep spreading them out, and pushing their boundaries as far as you possibly can. So thanks again for watching, and until next time, I will see you later.